Mercedes tried to warn us about this, so we're going to be going through that and other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. Toto Wolff has stated that only Lewis Hamilton is admitting when he makes mistakes in Formula 1 after the clash with Oscar Piastri in the Italian Grand Prix. At Monza, the 7-time world champion came together with Piastri on lap 41 of the race, as they battled for 8th place at the second chicane, with the Mercedes squeezing Piastri to the outside approaching the braking zone. The clash resulted in front wing damage for Piastri, who was forced to return to the pits for repairs, while Hamilton was issued a 5-second time penalty for the incident. In the end, Hamilton finished 6th with the penalty not changing his position, while Piastri was 12th, having been hit with his own sanction for an incident with Liam Lawson. "Yeah, that was Lewis's mistake," Wolff told media. "I think a 5-second penalty for that is what the menu says. These things happen. It's hard racing. You've got to overtake here, and we've seen a few of these. It's justifiable." Hamilton admitted after the race that he was at fault for the crash and clarified that he apologized to Piastri. Wolff highlighted that he doesn't see any other driver admitting to mistakes, believing they are all attempting to escape penalties. "He's very sportsmanlike with these things. He is the only one that I see out there admitting and saying, 'I got this wrong.' We just had a chat. He said, 'I didn't see him on the right and it was on me.' That kind of sportsmanship is what you need to admire with him. Pretty much everyone is always complaining and moaning just to try to not get a penalty." George Russell believes his 5th-place finish at this weekend's Italian Grand Prix was the maximum he and his Mercedes team could have hoped for, although he admitted he was not satisfied by the result. A strong qualifying saw Russell line up 4th alongside Charles Leclerc on the second row of the grid. He attempted to make his way past the Monegasque on the opening lap without success, forcing him to slot into P4. The Briton then came under pressure from Sergio Perez, and while he battled to keep the Red Bull racer behind, with both drivers ending up off the track at turn 1 at one stage, he would eventually lose the position. Russell then received a 5-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage after going off at turn 1 while making his way past Esteban Ocon. The penalty would do little to spoil his day as he came home in 5th, over 20 seconds ahead of teammate Lewis Hamilton in 6th. Asked if 5th was the best he could do on Sunday, Russell replied, "Definitely, P5 was the maximum. Not satisfied with it, but I would say it is a well-maximized weekend, considering our low downforce package that we know isn't our strongest." He added, "We've outpaced McLaren and Aston Martin here, but unfortunately Ferrari were just a step ahead of us here, and then Red Bull out front. It was a tough race because the degradation was high. But the long pit stop loss just means that a 2-stop strategy isn't really competitive. That means a lot of time in DRS, but it's not easy to overtake with such small pace differences between cars. I'm looking forward to heading to Singapore next. We were competitive there last year, and I think that our car will be better suited to that circuit, so hopefully we can fight a bit closer to the front than we managed here." Russell was also asked about his battle with Perez, and he admitted he was taking small satisfaction from the fact that he was able to keep the Red Bull racer behind for so long given his pace advantage. "Considering how fast they were, especially the Red Bulls in the high-speed corners were mega fast, but I felt pretty confident under the brakes," said Russell. "I was surprised he didn't come by sooner. I'll take a small slice of satisfaction in that, but as I said, P5 was the maximum. We will take it." Toto Wolff's body language suggested frustration within the Mercedes camp after the F1 Italian Grand Prix, said Naomi Schiff. Mercedes saw both drivers hit with separate 5-second time penalties, with George Russell finishing 5th and Lewis Hamilton 6th. A seemingly irritable team principal, Toto Wolff, claimed it was maximum his team could extract from a Monza track, which doesn't suit the W14's characteristics. "Body language speaks 1,000 words, Sky TV analyst Schiff said about Wolff. "Sometimes they don't tell us the full picture, and we have to read between what we see on track and what they tell us. You can really tell in his demeanor that it's not the result they wanted. The penalties didn't help, but they weren't in the fight anyway today. The good thing for them, though, is that consistently they're more often there than some of the teams around them. So it might be a track-specific thing. We'll go to some other tracks and have higher speeds. It's something they have to work on for the future." Red Bull continued their domination of Formula 1 with Max Verstappen winning a record-breaking 10th Grand Prix in a row. Mercedes, who were boosted this week by Hamilton's new contract which commits him to seeking his 8th F1 title with them in the next couple of years, must be looking ahead to their 2024 car now. "Yes, totally, by now you have to be," Nico Rosberg said. "That's why Mercedes can accept that this is an outlier. They can say, okay, it's just not the best track for us." They will be focused on getting the best from Singapore, where they have much higher hopes. Toto Wolff is set to miss the Japanese Grand Prix with the Mercedes boss due to undergo knee surgery. The Austrian team principal will go under the knife after the Singapore Grand Prix in an operation to restore his anterior cruciate ligament. According to Wolff, the lack of ligaments in his knee is the reason why he injured himself during the summer break while mountain biking. "I was riding over slippery rocks," he recalled to Kronen Zeitung. "It's not that I couldn't handle it, but I wanted to support myself with my left leg, and it just gave way because I no longer have a cruciate ligament there." In order for the Austrian adrenaline seeker to continue going on his adventures, Wolff has decided to fix his leg. "After Singapore, I'm heading to the Hockram Clinic to get a new cruciate ligament," he said. "Then I can do everything again." However, the surgery will cause him to miss out on a vital F1 race. "I'm skipping Japan, then there's a free weekend," he said. "In Qatar, I'd like to walk around without crutches. Then I might even be able to go skiing in the winter." For now, Wolff will be laser-focused on the Singapore Grand Prix on the 17th of September, where the Silver Arrows will be aiming for a better result than at the Italian Grand Prix. The Mercedes team principal, Toto Wolff, said he believes Red Bull and Max Verstappen are on course to remain unbeaten this season and achieve an unprecedented clean sweep of Formula One wins, which Wolff admitted would be admirable for its perfection. Verstappen won the Italian Grand Prix on Sunday, and in so doing took a 10th consecutive win, a feat never before achieved in F1. His Red Bull team have been dominant all season and remain unbeaten. Indeed, with the exception of the Brazilian GP in 2022, they have now won 24 of the last 25 races, a run which includes 15 in a row since last year's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, itself another record. After the race, Wolff had been dismissive of Verstappen's achievement, describing it as completely irrelevant, that it was of interest only to Wikipedia entries and not an accomplishment he would have paid attention to when Mercedes were similarly dominating the sport between 2014 and 2020. Verstappen now leads the World Championship by 145 points from teammate Sergio Perez and could win the title as soon as the Japanese GP with 6 races remaining. Red Bull are 310 points clear of Mercedes, who are second in the Constructors' Championship. When asked if Red Bull could be beaten at any of the remaining 8 meetings, Wolff was unequivocal. "No, I think they need to screw it up themselves," he said. However, he went on to say that should they do so, it would be a record he would acknowledge. "They are on track to win every race this season, and that, by the way, is a record that I would think is a good one, because that is perfection. We didn't make it in 2016 because our 2 drivers pushed each other out in Barcelona, and then we had an engine failure in Malaysia. In 2016, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg dominated, taking victory in 19 of 21 races. The next round in 2 weeks in Singapore, a night race on a street circuit, may present the best chance for a team to challenge Red Bull for a win, which was acknowledged by the Red Bull team principal, Christian Horner. "We're racing against some massive opponents and we're just taking it one race at a time," he said. "The next race, Singapore, it's a street circuit. It's one of the toughest on the calendar. We saw last year how perilous it can be. We'll just do our best to keep this momentum running." Horner also recognized that this extraordinary period of success could not go on indefinitely, but made it clear there would be no relaxation of the intensity of Red Bull's efforts to maintain what has become an absolute stranglehold on the championship. "One day we're going to get beaten. That's inevitable. Guaranteed," he said. "It's just a question of when, and we've just got to make the when as far away as we can. I think with every weekend that goes past, there's more expectation to keep up this amazing run of results." The Ferrari F1 team was the outfit that gave it full beans during the Italian Grand Prix weekend. While the Maranello-based team was not able to keep Max Verstappen and company behind for a long time during the main race, they managed a brilliant P3 and P4 finish. This is something that has come as a bit of a shocker to the Mercedes team principal, Toto Wolff. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were at their level best during the whole Monza weekend and gave it their all to manage a podium with at least one car. However, while Ferrari had a solid outing, Mercedes was left to settle with only a P5 and P6 finish. Toto Wolff feels a bit baffled by the significant step of the Fred Vasseur-led team. While showcasing his surprise toward the Italian GP outcome, Wolff said, as reported by Racing News 365, "I think we've seen a very strong long run from Ferrari on Friday. That was surprising. And during the race, they were just quicker." The Austrian has accepted that the Mercedes cars were just not at the pace that the two SF23s could show in Monza. Moreover, has also indicated that he and his Mercedes crew were a bit surprised with the performance output that Ferrari was able to extract from its cars, considering the demands of the high-speed Autodromo Nazionale Monza Formula One circuit. The Italian team was quicker than Mercedes both over one lap and race trim.